Hey, great to have you here. So today I want to do something a little bit different. I want to look at 10 impactful and motivational metalcore songs that you need to have on rotation. Metalcore is my favorite subgenre of music. I know a lot of people can categorize this type of music as either angry or not beneficial, but I personally feel like it's the exact opposite. You can have the most uplifting songs that can really impact you in a positive way. With this list, if you're familiar with the genre, you probably are going to know all 10 of these bands. But if not, hopefully some of these are new. I really like putting this list together, so if you'd like to see more of this, please let me know down in the comments below. I will include short clips of audio here, but I'm gonna be spending most of the time breaking down the song and the actual lyrics themselves. So with that, let's jump right into number 10.
Number 10.
All right, starting at number 10, we have Shadowmourne by Born of Osiris. To be frank here, I don't have a lot of Born of Osiris knowledge and background with them. There's not a whole lot of songs I listen to by them. I feel like I probably should expand more on their catalog just because how much I really like this song. And just kind of for a reference point, I have lyrics pulled up over here, so if I'm looking off to the side, that would be why. Breaking down the song, part that you notice is the obvious, the saxophone inclusion. In metalcore, it's really fun when they have these extra variables that you don't necessarily expect that aren't common in other songs of the genre. And the inclusion of the saxophone here is awesome. It's hits really heavy, it hits at the right time. There's a solo later on in the song that just adds to the amping up of the song in general. As far as how the lyrics go and the point of the song, takeaway that I have from it is you have somebody who's struggling to accept themselves. You have somebody that's trying to build their self-confidence and believe in themselves and move on from something that's holding them back and just looking to change and to grow and to do things that you feel like you enjoy and just focusing on yourself and your own self-improvement. Breaking down some of the lyrics we have here, we have shift with my acceptance, my failure in a box. So just talking about that self-doubt there. Kindly unscrew a belief that you found. So it's that continuing self-doubt. A lot of the parts of this song, some bands like to do more metaphors. Some like to be pretty straightforward with the lyrics. I feel like this one's a mix. You get stuff like coaxing a dream of my image paradox. So stuff like that's a little bit more metaphorical or deep lyrics, but you also get the straightforward, obvious ones in here as well. Stop bringing yourself down, living in pain, because I'm dreaming of you and I'm screaming at me. So just that internal battle you're having with your own abilities and something and just wanting to live your life how you want to live it, but having those doubts that are pushing you and keeping you away. It's talking about losing your way, finding out I keep pushing away. It's so hard to believe in myself. Selfish, upset, all the rest I can get. So it's just reiterating those internal conflicts that somebody may go through. Gets a little bit deeper further on. It has devil in the flesh, so wretched and vile. I know I'll be burning if only for a while. So it talks a little bit about you have to go through some struggles in order to get where you want to be ultimately. The pain is where we relate. I can't keep living. I won't be at this rate. So everybody goes through some kind of struggle. Unfortunately, that's just part of the challenge of life. It's normal to go through those things, and doubting yourself is okay, but you have to do what you can to overcome those at the same time. Talks about the pain's normal, the pain's where we relate. I can't be so afraid of change. So just emphasizes those points, especially with the chorus on there's a challenge you're trying to overcome and you need to do all you can to do so. This is perfectly normal. Everybody goes through issues that they deal with this kind of stuff, but ultimately by persevering through it and realizing it's okay that this happens to everybody is, how you're able to overcome things. As a recap, as I said, I really like the chorus of this one. Instrumentals, as far as the 10 on this list, this is one of the ones that sticks out just with the inclusion of the saxophone and having variety, but also it's a really cool way to include an instrument that's not normally in the genre. So that's my number 10, Shadowmourne by Born of Osiris.
Number 9.
At number 9, we have Wearing Thin by Hollowfront. At the beginning of the video, I mentioned you may know all of these bands. If there was a sleeper hit option that you would say you may not know, Hollowfront could be that option. I know I personally like a lot of their songs. As far as the subject matter here, I think this is relatively straightforward. I mentioned metalcore lyrics can sometimes be pretty clear. Sometimes they may use metaphors to be a little bit deeper as far as the meaning behind it. I think this one, while using some metaphors, it has a pretty straightforward message. It has somebody dealing with a troubled relationship, as a lot of songs may do at times. The singer has more investment that they're putting in the relationship than the other person. Talks about their past relationship and them getting tired of being the one that's giving all to the relationship and the other person just not really contributing much to it, having an unhealthy back and forth between the two. I mean, the title of the song is pretty straightforward. Wearing thin, you're wearing thin on the relationship, and it's ready to take that and to move forward beyond it. I forgot to mention this. Born of Osiris has a couple of lead singers. Same situation here. With this one, you have more of your melodic singer and then your screamer. I think they do a really good job at balancing the two of those. Start with a little bit of a softer vibe to the song, and then when really the chorus hits, it gets really heavy and does the spare me, our fabled tragedy type stuff, which obviously is our first lyrics here too. We have that. We have thinking I could change your mind. You got me lost inside this headspace. I'm stuck in the clouds and I'm not coming down. I have to stop myself from staring when I get lost in your eyes, but feel nothing in mine. So as mentioned, this one's pretty cut and dry as far as the meaning behind it. You have somebody who's giving all of the relationship, putting in all of the effort into things, and they're not getting reciprocated. They say, I laid it all on the line and wasted so much time. Thinking I could change your mind. I opened up my heart for you to break me. It's wearing thin. I give anything to let go of this pain, erase what's been. Tell me why I can't forget you. A lot of it can be a little bit more sad and just relatable in the aspect of, you've gone through a breakup or a relationship that was not necessarily a good one to be in at the time. It's something you keep going back to, even though this is not the great experience for you to be in. It talks about spent all this time overthinking, drowning inside their own twisted mind, and then peace in you is something that I can't find. So eventually, after ruminating on the toxicness of the relationship they're in, it does end with an uplifting message of saying, I've gone through this as other people probably have in the past, but from here, it's time for me to let go. I'll miss you more than you can ever know. So it's still realizing this is something they're going to be thinking about for at least a little bit of time. It's going to be impacting them, but they are moving on. Just dealing with a relatable experience for folks that have gone through troubled relationships, but then taking that and just moving on from it and finding a way to heal and to find a better life for yourself. So really like this one. As I said, Hollow Front's a band I recommend checking out if you're not familiar with them. So that's my number 9, Wearing Thin by Hollow Front.
Number 8.
At number 8, we have Pump It by Electric Callboy. This song is really great if you're like working out or need some kind of extra motivation to be doing something. It's a hilarious video. Honestly, all of Electric Callboy's videos are great. You should take a look at them. Just in general, they're videos that you would not expect when it comes to metalcore songs in general. This one specifically looks at that throwback workout class type vibe, that 80s, 90s nostalgic, Richard Simmons-y neon color outfit type video. As far as the subject matter, I don't think there's a whole lot of depth here. There are some deeper lyrics in theory if you want to look for something here. It's talking about, really pushing it or just pushing yourself. So if you want to try to find something there, you could say something like that. But in general, this one's just a fun video overall. It's just kind of that high energy, upbeat type vibe to it. It talks about if your body's giving up, pump it harder. So it's that funny, just keep pushing yourself. It's a fun, energetic type vibe, regardless of if there's a lot of deeper meaning behind the lyrics or not. I encourage you to check this one out just because it'll put you in a fun, positive mood. I mentioned their videos are just hilarious. You have the guitarist playing a guitar that's made out of a dumbbell. Some of the lyrics are hilarious too. Like at the end, he's just saying pow, pow, pow. Like it's pretty wild. So definitely take a look. Number 8 is Pump It by Electric Callboy.
Number 7.
At number 7, we have Concrete Jungle by Bad Omens. Bad Omens really blew up from this album, The Death of Peace of Mind. Concrete Jungle is a really great song on that. It really kicks off the album. This is one that I encourage you, if you start to listen to it, definitely listen to the whole song. If you don't like the slower pace at the beginning, the second half of the song hits really hard. Definitely stick through the 2 to 2.5 mark. If you haven't heard it before, things get really heavy at that point. This one has a little bit more deep lyrics that I mentioned sometimes these metalcore songs are gonna have, but I feel like this kind of paints somewhat of a picture of society and just the struggles that come with just day-to-day life. Obviously the title is Concrete Jungle. Makes you think of living the city life in a corporate type job where you're having to follow these societal expectations and whatever you do is not good enough, but you're doing your best to do so. And I feel like eventually the narrator just kind of explodes in that, as I said, 2.5 minute mark. But taking a look a bit at the lyrics, talks about the beginning, can you see yourself through the bruises when the makeup melts? So once again, talking about your genuine self. In the dark, when all the power's out, everybody talks and gets around. When the money talks, do you think it gets the point across? Doing a little bit of that deeper message, as I mentioned, going through things that society's thrown at you that probably are unfair, but you're doing your best to manage them. The chorus hits, it's, I said it's enough. I begged and I ran in circles. I climbed to the sun and fell in a concrete jungle. That point where this person's going through these struggles that they're having to manage with society, whether it's some kind of unfairness that's taking place or just them not being able to live their life to the fullest the way that they would like to be living it. Talks about kind of the unfairness of things, to play the game without a crooked die in a world where you don't have to hide. You don't have to live in a disguise. I said it's enough. Lyrics really explode here as far as snapping and saying, I'm done with this. I'm gonna make my own way. I'm not playing by your rules anymore. And you have him saying, I'm the king. I want things that money can't buy. The price is a pain to make this right. I could buy 1,000 lives. You can try to kill me, but I can't die. Saying like, I'm gonna get through this. I am strong, I can do this. Saying, you know what? I'm going to make the most of this. I'm in control of myself. I'm in control of my life. I'm gonna do what I want. I'm gonna do what I can do, and going from there. So really cool song, really cool band as I mentioned there. This whole album is really great. We'd love to talk further about it in the future. That's our number 7, Concrete Jungle by Bad Omens.
Number 6.
At number 6, we have Left Behind by The Plot and You. The Plot and You is another band that I feel like's really grown over the last few years. There's some of their songs I really enjoy. I really want to expand further in their catalog, so let me know if there's any songs that you like by them that I should really check out. But I imagine they're just going to continue to keep growing over the next few years. As far as this song goes, relatively straightforward point. The song title gives it away as well, Left Behind. So it's really one of those situations similar to Wearing Thin, but I think this one's a little bit more positive, focusing on I'm moving on from here. Take a look at the lyrics. We have times hit you different, but I don't think you've changed. Craving me was useless. All excuses drained. Just know all of the sacrifice robbed me of my time. Believe me, I don't look back and left with my pride. And then it really kicks into that chorus saying, I left behind everything you killed inside. Left you behind. You'd keep me down. I know better now. Won't break me down again. I'm done with this situation. I'm moving on. Having that message of, taking a negative situation and spinning it in a positive light and saying, I'm moving on from this. I learned from this. I'm going to do something different. You have the ending with, you'd keep me down. I know better now. Won't break me down again. So just driving home that point of, this is a bad place that you had me in. I am done with this. I am moving on, and I'm already at that better place. Rearview mirror at this point. I'm looking forward. You were in the past. So really great positive message here. It has that same breakup-y or just moving on type thing, but I feel like the specific tone here is more of a positive and less ruminating on somewhat of the negative experience and still living in that space. So really great song here. Left Behind by The Plot and You is our number 6.
Number 5.
At number 5, we have Composure by August Burns Red. This one's a bit of a throwback. Honestly, I hadn't listened to the song in a long time, but when I thought I'm going to put together this list, this song came to mind. August Burns Red's been around for a little bit of time. Really like all of their stuff. I listen to more of their older stuff than I have their more newer stuff. Great band in general though. Positive messages. I even think some of their apparel that they make is something like angry music for happy people or something like that. It's just really funny stuff. Just emphasizing that point that metalcore doesn't have to be this just negative vibe that some people get the impression that it is. This one's relatively straightforward with lyrics as well. I'll run through some of that. We have Shake It Off, Pick Yourself Up. They say your life fell apart in your hands and you've got the scars to prove it. It's not the first time and they're getting deeper. Going through some challenging times and picking yourself up and getting through it. It's a struggle to go through, but you can do this. You can pull yourself through this. Talks about pull it together, button up your shirt, roll down the sleeves, some obstacle in your way, and not letting it know or them know that this got to you at all and not letting it get to you ultimately. And while it feels overwhelming, moving forward, moving past it, talks about more and more your demeanor looks like quicksand, so you're like sinking into this. It's pulling you under, it's gripping around your throat. It seems like you're giving up on everything, it's pulling you under. Life can be overwhelming, but don't turn your back on the strongest crutch you've ever had. So realizing there's people or things that are there for you to support you when you're challenged with obstacles in your life. So it's just relying on those things that you know are there for you in your support group. Talks about they've always been there to brace your fall. Wave goodbye to the past. You've got your whole life to lead. Having that support group and then building on it yourself and moving forward. Ending with it's time to gain some ground. A lot of these songs I've talked about today has the same kind of message of there's a problem, there's a struggle you're dealing with. Realize that it's going to be hard to go through, but ultimately take that head on and move past it and learn from it and build upon it. So really great message. As I said, August Burns Red in general always has great messages. Composure, August Burns Red, that's number 5.
Number 4.
All right, at number 4, we have Vice Script by Parkway Drive. Parkway Drive is actually a band I saw with August Burns Red years ago. It was a really cool concert. I encourage you to see both those bands live. They were both amazing. When it comes to this, Vice Script, this is one of their, I guess not anymore, I was gonna say this is one of their later songs, but it's actually been, I feel like close to 10 years since the song came out. A little bit after their heavier stuff. A lot of times people get bogged down when it comes to metalcore bands, the change in sound that they may have over time. One example that comes to mind is Bring Me the Horizon. I know they started a lot heavier, then they've kind of added more of those melodic, just different type of vibe to the vocals, especially over time. Parkway Drive has a little bit of that, but I don't feel like it's been too extreme. I really enjoy Vice Script, so this song is a really motivational song, similar to a lot of the ones I've talked about already. Just talks about feeling overwhelmed by a situation and overcoming that. So as far as the lyrics go, talks about it wraps its hands around your throat, a constant battle, a silent war of mind and soul. But then it says, from those bad situations, overcoming them. So it says, get up, one life, one shot, give it all you got. Then hope for the hopeless, a light in the darkness, and really just a cool overall message. The music video for this one's also awesome. You have Winston jumping out of a plane with the camera right at him, just screaming. Just a great anthem song. I would say if I'm describing this song, how it's unique from maybe others on this list, this has kind of that anthem vibe to it where during the chorus, you even have like the back chants of like the yas that they're saying over and over again. Talks about keep the flame alive, hope for the hopeless, light in the darkness. So just rising up and overcoming stuff because you're capable of doing that essentially. So as I said, positive message here along with August Burns Red. Both these made sense. I saw them both at the same concert because they have really great lyrics and messages in their songs in general. So number 4, Vice Script, Parkway Drive.
Number 3.
At number 3, we have In Due Time by Killswitch Engage. Killswitch Engage, similar to August Burns Red, is kind of the staple of metalcore. They've been around for quite a long time. Saw them with, I think, Disturbed many years ago, back when Howard was the lead man for the vocals there. So I know there's a lot of people that have their opinions on, Jesse or Howard. I personally enjoy both of them. Obviously, Jesse was with the band originally, then Howard came, then Jesse has returned. So both of them, I think, are amazing and have incredible songs across the board. So nothing but love for both those guys. As far as In Due Time, breaking down the lyrics here, I feel like this is a video that came out shortly when Jesse came back to the band. So the video is really cool. You can kind of see him really getting along with the guys and just feel like they're having a good time laughing. So not really anything crazy when it comes to the video, but feels like really just good vibes across the board with these guys. When it comes to the lyrics, pacing aimlessly with my mind at unrest, unsure of what may come. What have I done to bring this down on me? Helpless to make this undone. It talks about being in your head about some problem that you're dealing with and feeling very overwhelmed by the situation. In due time, I'll see the world through different eyes. The shadows will give way to light. How much more can I give myself as these walls close in on me? Back and forth of like, this is a very challenging time, but then it's like, no, you can do this. You can get over this. There's nothing to attain. What victory when my soul is weak? Where does my help come from? And then back to the positive and saying, all in due time, see the world through different eyes. Shadows will give way to light. And then my favorite lyrics from the song are the last verse-ish with it. It goes, all that we suffer through leads to determination. The trials we all go through gives us the strength to carry on. Something within us burns. Desire feeds the will to live. A reason to believe I will see redemption. So just a really cool collection of words in that last verse where it just talks about you're going through a tough time. As I said, I sound like a broken record at this point, but challenging time you're going through. It's going to make you stronger. You're going to come out the other side. It's going to be okay in the end. You're going to redeem yourself. You're going to move on. So not much else to say about this one. Pretty straightforward lyrics when it comes to this, as I just love, especially that last verse where it hits you with that positive influence. Killswitch Engage, as I said, love them across the board, so hope to talk more about them in the future. But In Due Time by Killswitch is number 3.
Number 2.
And number 2, we have House of Sand by Nothing More.
I built my house on sand.
Nothing More is a band that's really just blown up every time they've expanded on their discography overall. I remember with their self-titled album 10 years ago it came out. That thing was played on Octane constantly. It's how I really got into them. Another band that I did wind up seeing live back 10 years ago when that album did come out. Got to meet them actually after the show. They were really cool guys. Really looking forward to Carnal, their new one coming out, in which this song is on. They've released a couple songs from that album so far, so this one really stuck out to me as a recent song that I've enjoyed. They have kind of that same vibe as the self-titled album, similar to when they had Ballast. Really cool quotes from the beginning from Alan Watts, who's a philosopher. This one talks about breathing in and not holding your breath, and you need to actually breathe out in order to regain your breath. So it's about not clinging to life and just letting go. That mentality of, just letting something go will make things easier over time. When you get to the core of the song, it says Eric from I Prevail in it. I was tempted to put an I Prevail song on this list, so great to have Eric represented with I Prevail in this song. So cool featuring him here. As far as how the lyrics go, the song's titled House of Sand. The metaphor there is pretty straightforward, I think. So you don't want to build your foundation on, obviously, sand. So talks about how they've been building up this foundation on sand. We talk about rationalize, mix truth with lies. It's all black magic mixed with bad habits. With the main chorus especially, built my house on sand, hoping it would stand the storms that came my way. Now I'm left to face the weight of my mistakes and a chance to start again. So really just hammering home that message of you want to make sure that you're on strong foundation for how you are living your life and just how you're surrounding your life. At times, we may have something that ultimately appears to have been built on sand. You may have a relationship, you may have something going on in your life that's not as sturdy as you appear to have thought. You thought, hey, this is a concrete building, this thing's gonna be really sturdy, it's gonna be great. But then you uncover and unravel some of the truth behind it and realize, this is built on a sand foundation, this thing's gonna collapse. So I need to move on and start over from here. So I really just love that message. As I said, this is a recent release and it's really one that has clicked as far as if you're going through something tough, it's gonna be challenging. Really unfortunate that you were building a life on sand, but at this point, it's taking that and turning into a positive, saying, build your life again. It realizes it's not always easy to do. It talks about wage war on my mind, feels good on the dark side. Reiterates with the chorus once again, build my house on sand, hoping it would stand. No matter what's going on, you can start over. It's unfortunate that you had to deal with what you had to deal with at this point in time, but from now, we can start over, we can build a better life. You can do this again in a different way. So really that positive messaging of building from scratch, essentially. You went through some tough times. Your foundation was crumbled. You went from a lot to nothing, and then we're starting over, and it's gonna be okay that we're starting over. We're able to move on from that. So it's just really cool message, and their concerts are amazing. I encourage you to check them out live. They have a lot of cool on-stage presence. I know they've done a lot since I saw them back then. I think they do a lot with like paint and that kind of stuff now. But they do a lot of on-stage mechanical things. They have a lot of different contraptions that they use on stage that make it a really cool experience for a live show. So as I said, just really encourage you to check them out. Coming in number 2, House of Sand, Nothing More.
Number 1.
Coming in at number 1 is Aftermath by The Ghost Inside. This is just a song that I have loved since it came out. The Ghost Inside, if you're not aware, went through a very traumatic experience as a band, and this song is the rise from the ashes of that experience. When they were on tour at one point, they had an accident which led to a couple of the drivers dying in the situation and led to the band suffering traumatic injuries from the experience as well. The drummer actually lost his leg in an injury that gets talked about a whole lot, but the entire band had dealt with injuries so hard to imagine going through, and just the ability for them to come back after that experience and to rise up and to move forward is just super inspirational. The fact that they were able to come back from that and continue to make awesome music is just incredible. It's an incredible story. Cool guys, it seems like bands that I would want to see live. Ghost Inside would probably be at the top of my list just because of the powerful messages that a lot of their songs have and the powerful feeling that you get after listening to them. So the music video for this one's a little tough to watch. As I mentioned, it highlights that accident, but then focuses on their return. Starting things off, talks about running around circles and heading nowhere fast because more was said in silence than I could ever say in the song. How many times must I beat my head against the wall before I finally break through? Is this where it ends? Can I be myself again? The sights and sounds of the rise and the fall, it all played out with my life on pause. Talks about going through that tough experience and those doubts you have of, is this it? Am I not able to come back from this? Am I not able to return to what I once was? Doing what you can within your control to move past it and be okay on the other side. Talks about really the heavy message here is triumph over tragedy. For all the demons that follow me around, it's time I put you 6 feet deep underground. So just really hammering home that awesome metalcore message of, this is a very traumatic thing for me. I'm gonna bury you though. I'm gonna rise above you. I'm gonna overcome the situation. Chorus is great. There's actually a lot of singing that takes place in the song, but then also very heavy screaming vocals too. So great balance between those two. I feel like that's always a great, for me personally, I love the blending of both singing and screaming. The message here is just amazing. It talks about the beat goes on, foundations that can never break. Was moving forward a mistake, or is that me pretending? What happened to my happy ending? So, as I said, realizing this isn't how you would have planned things. This is not necessarily the road you expected to be going down. That's the unfortunate reality when you deal with tragedy, when you deal with unfortunate situations that do come up in life for people. It's not always fair, but you have to do what you can to deal with them. It's not always easy to do. Sometimes you struggle with it, but doing your best to go through those experiences. Hammers home at the end. I'm ready for what tomorrow brings. The beat goes on. Yesterday is gone, but the beat goes on. So just, this isn't where I wanted to be, but I'm going to take this and be okay, and I'm going to rise above it, as I said. It really just hammers that message. As I said, triumph over tragedy is clearly the message here. A lot of their songs have a similar type vibe where it's overcoming something, and that's always cool when it comes to metalcore lyrics. So Aftermath, The Ghost Inside is my number one on the list here. So that wraps up my list. I ran through 10 songs that have that motivational message to them. It's not always going to be something glamorous that you're dealing with, so some of them touch on subjects that are a little bit challenging to cope with. But trying to find the positive of any of those situations and moving past it is really the great messaging that I get from these songs, and I hope that you feel the same way. Let me know if any songs that do that for you guys. Would love to hear new songs that I may not be aware of, or it's always good to just talk about songs that I have heard of that are just additional reminders of this is a really awesome motivational song. As I said, I would love to do another list, whether it's listing 10 more motivational songs or a separate list on different types of songs depending on the specific subcategory of things we'd be covering. Appreciate you taking the time to watch the video, and hope to talk to you again soon.